does it feel wearing?
You know, it's some good fabric, but it takes us back to the New Edition days.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
The entertainment industry has always traded on its glitz, glamour, and promise of stardom. But beneath that shiny facade lies a dark, twisted underbelly. A world where power and influence aren't just tools. They're weapons. And at the center of this latest storm is Sean Diddy Combs and Will Smith, two of the most iconic figures in their respective fields. Their names have been synonymous with success for decades, but now they're being dragged into allegations so disturbing, it's hard to believe they ever stayed hidden.
Centerpiece of a lot of what happened during direct testimony were freak-offs. And what the prosecution tried to show was that he forced and or coerced her into doing these freak-offs. And we've talked about this earlier this week, that at least my opinion is that in a lot of these, the prosecution just didn't close the loop. It was something she felt.
Let's start with what's being called the mentorship illusion. On the surface, mentorship programs in Hollywood sound like golden opportunities for young talent to learn from the best. Promising actors, singers, and performers are plucked from obscurity and paired with industry titans who hold the keys to fame, fortune, and open doors. But when you peel back that shiny label, what's revealed is something far more sinister, if these allegations are to be believed. And one name keeps coming up as a tragic example of how the machinery of power can grind someone down. Bryshere Gray, the bright young star who rose to fame as Hakeem Lyon on the hit series Empire. When Bryshere entered the industry, he was a force to be reckoned with, a charismatic, talented performer who seemed destined for greatness. His name was everywhere, his face recognizable to millions. But behind the scenes, he was allegedly caught in a web of deceit, manipulation, and betrayal. According to insider whisperers and the unrelenting claims of whistleblower Jaguar Wright, Bryshere's life took a dark turn when he was introduced to Diddy and Will Smith under the guise of a mentorship program. It was supposed to be a stepping stone, a way for him to elevate his career. Instead, it allegedly became a nightmare that he's still trying to escape.
The both worlds. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That's smooth under the rug.
Why?
Jaguar Wright, the outspoken singer who's been shaking the pillars of the entertainment industry for years, hasn't held back. She's claimed in no uncertain terms that these so-called mentorships were nothing more than traps for young, vulnerable talent. And Bryshere, she says, was one of the many who fell into it. Wright's allegations go even further, suggesting that Diddy and Will used their immense influence to exploit these young stars, offering them dreams of stardom while allegedly dragging them into situations that left them broken. Bryshere, still a teenager at the time, was reportedly handed over to these powerful men by his manager, Charlie Mack, a man who was supposed to guide and protect him. But instead of protection, Wright alleges, Bryshere was failed at every turn. According to her, Mack wasn't just complicit, he was an active participant in connecting Bryshere to these industry powerhouses. And the betrayal didn't stop there. Wright has made shocking claims about Bryshere's own mother, Andrea Mayberry, suggesting that she knew exactly what was happening and allowed it to continue. Why? For financial gain, Wright alleges, for the chance to see her son's name in lights. The accusations paint a chilling picture of a young man surrounded by adults who were supposed to have his back, but instead, allegedly, sold him out for their own ambitions.
If you're a halfway intelligent person, when do you start questioning how lucky some keep getting?
Right.
And then there are the tapes. Jaguar Wright hasn't just been talking, she's been acting. She claims to have handed over damning evidence to prosecutors, including never-before-seen footage that allegedly exposes what went on behind closed doors. One tape, according to Wright, shows Diddy and Will in compromising situations with Bryshere, evidence that could shatter the carefully curated images of these two icons. While the contents of these tapes haven't been made public, the very idea of their existence has sent shockwaves through the industry. Wright has also alleged that Bryshere's mental health and behavior spiraled out of control as a direct result of what he endured during this so-called mentorship. And when you look at his troubled history, it's hard not to wonder if there's truth to her claims.
Literally waking up to allegations is kind of crazy.
Bryshere's fall from grace has been nothing short of tragic. Once celebrated as a rising star, he's now known more for his legal troubles than his talent. In 2020, he made headlines after a dramatic standoff with the SWAT team at his home. The incident began when his wife escaped to a nearby gas station, claiming she'd been held against her will and assaulted. Police eventually arrested Bryshere after hours of negotiation, and his mugshot shocked fans. He looked like a shadow of the vibrant, confident actor they'd come to know on screen. And that was just the beginning. In the years since, Bryshere has faced multiple allegations of assault, each one painting a picture of a man who seems to be unraveling.
Really a conspiracy if the same person keeps benefiting off the same kind of tragedy over and over.
And yet, when you dig deeper, it's not hard to see how he got here. Jaguar Wright has repeatedly pointed to the trauma he allegedly endured as a young man under the influence of Diddy and Will. She claims it left him broken, unable to trust, and struggling to find his footing in a world that chewed him up and spat him out. But what makes this even more infuriating is the suggestion that everyone around him, his manager, his mother, and the industry as a whole, knew what was happening and did nothing to stop it. If anything, they allegedly enabled it.
I have a career, I'm an artist, I have a lot of things to lose.
Charlie Mack, once seen as a trusted figure in Bryshere's life, is now being accused of playing a central role in his downfall. Wright alleges that Mack acted as the bridge between Bryshere and the powerful men who would go on to exploit him. And what about Andrea Mayberry? Wright hasn't minced words, accusing her of prioritizing her own ambitions over her son's safety. According to Wright, Mayberry even wrote a book about raising Bryshere, painting herself as a devoted mother while allegedly hiding the truth about what she allowed to happen behind the scenes. Wright has called her out publicly, demanding that she come clean about her role in everything that went wrong. It's a devastating narrative, one that takes the shine off Hollywood's golden glow and exposes the rot underneath. But what makes it even more chilling is the idea that Bryshere isn't alone. Wright has hinted that there are others, other young men who were promised the world and left with nothing but scars. And while Bryshere's story is heartbreaking, it's also a warning, a reminder that in an industry built on power and image, the most vulnerable are often the ones who pay the highest price.
Did you ever spend time with the guy? Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart, super business. You know, I mean, he's very successful.
As Bryshere's life continues to spiral, the allegations against Diddy and Will keep piling up. Wright has made it her mission to bring these men to justice, and she's not backing down. She's called out the industry for its silence, for its complicity, and for its refusal to protect those who need it most. And as the Diddy trial looms, the tension is palpable. Will this be the moment when Hollywood's dark secrets are finally dragged into the light? Or will the system, as it so often does, find a way to protect its own? One thing is clear, this story is far from over.
What'd they do to him? Because there's a lot of speculation out there, but nobody, I mean, I've heard things, but what did they really do to him?
And just when it seems like this web of betrayal and manipulation couldn't get any darker, more names, more connections, and more horrifying whispers start to surface. Bryshere Gray may have been one of the most visible victims in this twisted saga, but Jaguar Wright has made it clear he was far from the only one. What she's describing isn't just a pattern, it's a blueprint. A system designed to lure young, ambitious talent into a world where power dynamics are abused and promises of mentorship are nothing more than bait.
I'll tell you, I don't know how much, I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. That there's a little difference, you know. But was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything with as successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties, they did.
Let's talk about Justin Bieber. His name has been dragged into this scandal in the most unsettling ways. For years, there have been rumors about his early days in the industry, particularly about his relationship with Diddy. A now infamous clip of Diddy gifting a teenage Justin a Lamborghini has resurfaced, and it's taken on an entirely different tone under the weight of these allegations. In the video, Diddy is seen calling Justin his little brother, talking about how he's been given custody of the young star for 48 hours. At the time, it might have seemed like harmless banter, an older mentor guiding a rising star. But now, with everything else that's come out, it's impossible to watch that footage without feeling a chill. What exactly happened during those 48 hours? And why, as Diddy himself puts it in the clip, were the details of their activities not for everybody?
I hate to say that. I hate to say that because I really like Justin Bieber. I feel bad for Justin Bieber. and this is when that happened.
Then there's Usher. The R&B legend has largely kept quiet about his time under Diddy's wing, but old interviews have taken on a haunting significance. Usher has spoken before about living with Diddy as a teenager, describing it as wild and crazy. He's admitted that he saw things he didn't fully understand at the time, things that left him feeling confused and out of place. And yet, he's always stopped short of fully explaining what those things were. But now, with Jaguar Wright's claims and the resurfacing of stories about Diddy's so-called mentorship programs, those vague comments start to feel like breadcrumbs leading to a much darker story. What did Usher really witness during his time in Diddy's orbit? And why hasn't he spoken out more openly about it?
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing.
And it doesn't stop there. Jaguar Wright has alleged that other young men, including Meek Mill and even figures like Bryshere's Empire co-star Bryshere Gray, were caught up in similar situations. She's described incidents where young stars were seen fleeing from the homes of powerful industry figures, visibly shaken and desperate to escape. One particularly chilling story involves neighbors reportedly hearing screams and chaos coming from a certain Hollywood mansion, only for it all to be brushed under the rug the next day. These aren't isolated incidents. They're pieces of a puzzle, and the more pieces you put together, the more horrifying the picture becomes. But here's where it gets even more twisted. Jaguar Wright has suggested that there's an entire underground network within the entertainment world that thrives on secrecy and control. She has hinted at private events where attendees are forced to sign non-disclosure agreements so ironclad that even the slightest breach could lead to financial ruin or worse. These gatherings, she claims, aren't just about networking or partying. They're about maintaining power by creating a culture of silence. Once you step into that world, you're in it for good. And if you try to break free, the repercussions can be devastating. This isn't just about individual acts of betrayal. It's about an entire system built to protect the powerful at all costs.
Sure, yeah, Justin Bieber has been getting this out in different ways. You know, you could see it in his music and just what he's been trying to say.
And it's not just Jaguar who's been talking. Behind the scenes, whispers from former assistants, bodyguards, and even some industry executives have started to echo her claims. One former employee of a major music label has anonymously stated that they witnessed strange interactions at private events hosted by some of the biggest names in the business. According to them, these gatherings were purposefully kept small and exclusive with only a handful of trusted insiders present. They described a palpable tension in the air, as if everyone knew there was an unspoken rule. What happens there stays there. And now, with the Diddy trial looming, some of these whispers are starting to grow louder. Could this be the moment when the walls of silence finally crack? Adding to the intrigue are the so-called missing names. Jaguar Wright has hinted that some of the most shocking allegations haven't even been revealed yet. She claims that there are individuals, household names, A-listers, who are desperately trying to distance themselves from the fallout. These are people who, she says, were either complicit in the events or directly benefited from the power dynamics at play. And while their names haven't surfaced publicly yet, Wright has implied that it's only a matter of time. The tension is palpable, with everyone wondering, who's next? Who else is hiding behind the veneer of fame and success, hoping the light doesn't reach them? But perhaps the most disturbing part of all this is the complicity. This isn't just about Diddy or Will Smith or Charlie Mack. It's about an entire industry that seems to have turned a blind eye to what's been happening. For years, whispers and rumors have swirled about Hollywood's darker side, about the things that go on behind closed doors. And yet, time and time again, those in power have been allowed to operate with impunity. Why? Because the people who could have stopped them, managers, agents, producers, even family members, chose to look the other way. Or worse, they actively participated, trading the safety and well-being of young talent for their own gain.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very, very...
And let's not forget the role of the media in all this. For decades, tabloids and entertainment journalists have been complicit in maintaining the glossy image of Hollywood, choosing to focus on surface-level scandals while ignoring the deeper, systemic issues. How many times have we seen glowing profiles of Diddy as a mogul or Will Smith as a family man, without any acknowledgement of the darker stories lurking beneath the surface? How many times have we been fed narratives about mentorship and success, while the victims of these so-called mentorships were left to fend for themselves?
I'm not sure, I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
And now, as the Diddy trial approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. Jaguar Wright has made it clear that she's not backing down and she's not alone. More and more people are starting to speak out, to share their stories, to demand accountability. But will it be enough? Will the truth finally come out, or will Hollywood's machinery of power and influence find a way to bury it all once again? And what about those tapes Jaguar claims to have handed over to prosecutors? If they're as damning as she says, they could blow this entire case wide open. But here's the thing, tapes can disappear, evidence can be suppressed, witnesses can be intimidated. We've seen it happen before. So the question isn't just whether the truth will come out, it's whether it will be allowed to come out. And that's where you come in. What do you think is really happening here? Are we on the brink of a Hollywood reckoning? Or is this just another scandal that will fade away, leaving the powerful untouched? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, stay tuned. This story is far from over.